The scalpel slipped. That's all it took. One sterile blade catching fabric instead of flesh. One sharp tug that split the sleeve wide open from wrist to elbow. The overhead lights flooded down onto skin that shouldn't exist. Not like that. Not with those kinds of scars. Third-degree burns don't heal clean. They knit together in ridges and valleys, tight and shiny, the kind of damage that comes from fire so hot it melts through Kevlar. But it wasn't the scars that made the attending physician go white. It wasn't even the way the nurse, calm, steady, unremarkable, until 30 seconds ago, didn't flinch when the cold air hit exposed skin. It was the ink, black, military grade. A serial number that ran in perfect block letters along the inside of her forearm, half buried in scar tissue, but still legible under the surgical lights. And beneath it, smaller, almost lost in the damage, a unit designation that hadn't been spoken aloud in 6 years. Because everyone in that unit was dead. The trauma bay went silent. Somewhere behind her, a monitor started beeping faster. A patient, chest compression still going, blood pressure dropping, was about to code. But no one moved. Not the attending, not the resident frozen with gloved hands half raised, not the security guard who'd stepped in to grab paperwork and now stood staring like he'd seen a ghost. She pulled her sleeve down. Slowly. Deliberately. Then she turned back to the crash cart without a word and slammed 200 joules into a dying man's chest. If you want to know how a dead woman ends up saving lives in a place that should never have found her, stay with me until the end. Drop a comment with the city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The shift had started like every other. 600 hours. Coffee that tasted like burnt plastic. A trauma bay that smelled like disinfectant and old blood. No matter how many times environmental services scrubbed it down. She clocked in under the name Sarah Hallis, RN, trauma certified, 5 years at Mercy General Hospital in Camden, New Jersey. Clean record, quiet, competent, forgettable. That was the point. She pulled her hair back into a tight bun, checked her pockets, pen light, scissors, alcohol swabs, tourniquet, and walked into the belly of the emergency department like she had every right to be there. Because on paper, she did. Sarah Hallis existed. She had a nursing license, a rental lease, a bank account, even a library card she never used. She paid taxes. She showed up on time. She never caused problems. She also didn't exist before 6 years ago. Hallis, you're in Bay 4, the charge nurse called without looking up. MVA incoming. ETA 4 minutes. Copy. She moved down the hallway in silence, her sneakers making no sound on the linoleum. Other nurses rushed past her, voices loud, movements big. She slid between them like water. No one noticed. That was also the point. Bay 4 was prepped, IV pole ready. Intubation kit laid out. She snapped on gloves and checked the defibrillator charge, then stood in the corner with her hands loose at her sides, eyes on the double doors. The MVA, motor vehicle accident, rolled in hot. Paramedics wheeling a gurney at a near run, rattling off vitals in shorthand. Male, mid-40s, unrestrained driver, T-boned at an intersection. GCS of 8. Hypotensive. Tachycardic. Possible internal bleeding. The attending physician, Dr. Marcus Rohn, stepped in and started barking orders. Chest X-ray. Type and cross. 2 units O negative. Hallis moved without being told, hands already reaching for the IV kit, slipping the catheter into a vein on the second try while Rohn listened to breath sounds. Diminished on the left, he said. Possible pneumo. Get me a chest tube tray. She was already pulling it from the crash cart. Rohn glanced at her just for a second. You always this quick? Just efficient, doctor. He didn't ask again. The patient stabilized, barely. They got him intubated, chest tube in, and shipped him up to the OR within 20 minutes. Rohn stripped off his gloves and tossed them in the bin, then looked at her again, longer this time. You prior service? She kept her face blank. No, sir. Huh. He didn't sound convinced. You move like it. She didn't answer, just turned and started restocking the bay. Rohn left. She let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. But the next case came in an hour later. Pediatric seizure. Then a psych hold. Then a drunk who'd fallen off a roof and somehow only broken his wrist. The shift rolled on. She stayed in the background, efficient and invisible, exactly the way she'd trained herself to be. At 900, a code blue lit up Bay 2. Cardiac arrest. Full team response. She was second through the door, already pulling the crash cart. The patient was a woman in her 60s, gray-faced, no pulse. Roan started compressions while a resident bagged her. Hallis prepped the defibrillator, charged it, and called clear. Shock delivered. No change. Resume compressions. Push 1 of epi. She was already drawing it up, slamming it into the IV line. 2 minutes. Another shock. Still nothing. Come on, Roan muttered, sweat beading on his forehead. Come on. Hallis watched the monitor. Flat. She'd seen this before. Too many times. In places where there was no crash cart, no clean room, no team, just her and a dying soldier, and a prayer that wouldn't get answered. She shook the thought away. Charge to 360, Roan said. She dialed it up, called clear, delivered the shock. The monitor beeped. Once, twice, a rhythm stuttered to life. We got her, someone said. Roan exhaled hard. Nice work, people. Let's get her stabilized and up to ICU. The team moved into cleanup mode. Hallis stripped off her gloves and stepped back, her hands steady. They were always steady. That was the one thing she couldn't unlearn. Roan caught her eye as he left. Good instincts, Hallis. She nodded, said nothing, but she felt the weight of it, the praise, the notice, the attention. That was dangerous. Chim. At 1100 hours, everything changed. The radio crackled. EMS dispatch. Priority 1. Mercy General, be advised. We are inbound with a federal patient under armed escort. Repeat. Federal escort. ETA 6 minutes. Requesting private bay and security lockdown. The charge nurse's head snapped up. Federal? What the hell does that mean? Military or government, someone said. Probably State Department. Or a prisoner. Either way, we're about to get interesting. Hallis felt her pulse kick up. Just slightly. Just enough. She turned away and pretended to organize supply drawers while her brain went into overdrive. Federal patient meant protocols, meant questions, meant people with clearance and cameras and background checks. She should leave. Clock out early. Fake a migraine. But the charge nurse was already looking at her. Hallis, you're taking it. Her stomach dropped. I'm not senior. You're trauma certified and you don't rattle. Bay 6. Now. She didn't argue. Arguing drew attention. She walked to Bay 6 and started prepping. Her hands moved on autopilot, checking the monitors, laying out supplies, making sure the oxygen was live. But her mind was somewhere else. Running scenarios. Federal patient could mean a dozen things, most of them harmless. A diplomat with chest pain. A congressman with a kidney stone. Someone important enough to warrant security, but not important enough to matter. But the knot in her stomach said otherwise. She'd spent 6 years building a life that didn't ask questions. A life that didn't have flags or clearances, or people who looked too close. And now she was about to be locked in a room with exactly the kind of person who could unravel it all. The double doors burst open. Boom. The patient arrived exactly 6 minutes later, flanked by 4 men in dark suits and 1 in navy dress whites. The suits moved like Secret Service, tight formation, scanning corners, hands near their jackets. The officer in uniform was older, late 50s, with silver hair and a chest full of ribbons that included a Navy cross. Admiral. Hallis felt the air go thin. The patient on the gurney was the Admiral himself. Conscious, pale, sweating, holding his left arm against his chest. The paramedic rattled off vitals, elevated heart rate, blood pressure spiking, possible MI. Roan took the lead. Let's get him on the monitor. Hallis, line in labs. She moved in, hands steady, eyes down. She slipped the tourniquet around his right arm and prepped the vein. The Admiral's eyes tracked her, sharp, focused. Not the eyes of a man in pain. The eyes of someone reading a threat. She ignored it. Inserted the catheter, drew the labs, handed them off. EKG's clean, Roan said, frowning. Chest pain could be angina, could be musculoskeletal. Admiral, have you had any recent trauma to the chest or shoulder? Fell during PT 2 days ago, the Admiral said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Thought I pulled something. Could be a muscle strain. We'll get imaging to be sure. The Admiral's eyes never left Hallis. She finished the IV line and stepped back, keeping her hands visible, her posture neutral. One of the suits leaned in. "Doctor, we'll need this room secured. No unauthorized personnel." "Understood." Roan looked at Hallis. "You're his primary for the next 2 hours. No one else comes in without clearance." She nodded. The suits left. Roan left. The door closed. And she was alone with a 2-star admiral who was still staring at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't solve. She busied herself with the monitors, checked the IV drip, adjusted the bed angle, kept her face blank. The silence stretched. She could feel him watching, calculating. "You move efficiently," he said finally. "Thank you, sir." That wasn't a compliment. It was an observation. She glanced at him. His expression was unreadable. "Most nurses have wasted motion," he continued. "They fumble with supplies, double-check things. You don't. You move like you've done this under pressure. I work in a trauma center, Admiral. Pressure's part of the job." "That's not what I mean." She turned back to the monitor, pretending to adjust settings that didn't need adjusting. "You scanned the room when you walked in," he said. "Exits first. Then the security detail. Then me. You positioned yourself with your back to the wall and kept the door in your peripheral. That's not nursing training." Her hand stilled for a fraction of a second. "That's combat training," he finished. She forced herself to keep moving. "I think the pain medication might be making you see things that aren't there, sir. I've been in the Navy for 34 years. I know how operators move. I'm a nurse. Now you are." The words hung in the air like smoke. She didn't respond. Couldn't. Because he was right, and they both knew it, and the only question now was how much he'd push. The Admiral shifted slightly, wincing. "What's your name?" "Sarah Hallis." "How long have you been at Mercy, General?" 5 years? Before that?" "Community hospital in Pennsylvania." "And before that?" "Nursing school." He studied her. She kept her face neutral, but inside her mind was racing. She needed to shut this down, redirect, make him think he was wrong. "Admiral, with respect, I think you're reading too much into—" "I'm not." His voice was quiet, but absolute. "I've seen enough operators in my career to recognize one when she's standing 3 feet away," he said. "The question isn't whether you have training. The question is why you're pretending you don't." She met his eyes. "I'm here to make sure you don't have a heart attack, sir. That's all." "Is it?" "Yes." He smiled faintly. "You're good. But you're not that good." Before she could respond, the door opened. A radiology tech with a portable X-ray machine. The moment broke. Hallis stepped aside and let the tech work, her pulse hammering in her ears. She needed to finish this shift. Get out. Disappear for a few days, maybe longer. But she had a feeling the Admiral wasn't going to let this go. "Son." The X-ray came back clean. Muscle strain, just like Roan suspected. They gave the Admiral anti-inflammatories, told him to rest, and cleared him for observation. The suits stayed posted outside the door. Hallis stayed inside, per protocol. An hour passed. The Admiral dozed. She charted in silence, keeping her head down, her mind running escape routes. Then his eyes opened. "Tell me something," he said. She didn't look up. "Sir? If you were going to disappear, really disappear, how would you do it?" Her pen stopped moving. "Hypothetically," he added. She set the chart down. "I wouldn't." "Why not?" "Because disappearing means you're running from something, and running only works if no one's looking. And if they are? Then you'd better hope you covered your tracks." He nodded slowly. "That's a good answer." She didn't respond. "I knew a unit once," he said, his voice dropping. "Covert. Medical and tactical combined. They operated in places that didn't officially exist, doing things no one talks about. JSOC, direct action, high risk, high value." Her throat tightened. "They were good," he continued. "The best, actually. But 6 years ago they went dark. Mission went sideways. Officially the unit was disbanded. Unofficially, everyone in it was declared KYA. She kept her face blank, but her heart was pounding. "Thing is," the Admiral said, "I never bought it. The story was too clean, too convenient. 12 operators, all dead in a single incident, no bodies recovered, just a classified report and a bunch of closed files. He sat up slightly, watching her. If someone from that unit survived, he said, they'd be smart to stay hidden, because the people who erased them the first time wouldn't hesitate to finish the job. The room felt smaller. Hallis stood. I should check with the attending. Sit down, Lieutenant. The rank hit her like a slap. She froze. The Admiral's expression didn't change. I'm not your enemy, but I need to know if I'm right. You're not. Then why are you sweating? She wasn't, but she could feel the tension crawling up her spine, the old instinct screaming at her to move, to act, to get out. Admiral Perry, she said carefully, I don't know what you think you've figured out, but… Task Force Sentinel, he interrupted. 12 operators. Medical and combat hybrid. Deployed under JSOC authority for Black Ops extractions and field triage in denied areas. Disbanded after Operation Sandpiper went catastrophic in Yemen. Official casualties, 12. Actual survivors, at least 1. Her legs felt weak. You were the trauma lead, Perry continued. Lieutenant Emma Voss, 2 deployments, 3 combat citations. You pulled more soldiers out of hell than anyone in your unit, and then you vanished. She couldn't breathe. I was the oversight officer for Sentinel's last 3 missions, Perry said. I signed off on Sandpiper. I read the after-action report, and I never believed a word of it. The door opened. Roan stepped in, glancing between them. Everything okay in here? Perry smiled. Fine, Doctor. Just talking. Roan looked at Hallis. You're off at 1800, right? She nodded, not trusting her voice. Go ahead and clock out early. I'll take over. She didn't argue. She grabbed her things and left, moving fast but not too fast, keeping her breathing even, her stride normal. She made it to the locker room, changed, walked out the side exit. She was 3 blocks away when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stared at it. Every instinct told her not to answer. She answered. Lieutenant Emma Voss? The voice was male, clipped, military. Her blood went cold. My name is Commander Nick Garrett, the voice continued. I was Admiral Perry's security detail 6 years ago. I was also the extraction officer for Task Force Sentinel. She stopped walking. I know who you are, Garrett said, and I know you've been hiding, but right now we have a bigger problem. I don't know what you're… Someone just tried to kill Admiral Perry. Her chest tightened. It happened 30 minutes ago, Garrett said. Poison. Slipped into his IV while he was under observation. If the attending hadn't caught the pressure drop when he did, Perry would be dead. She closed her eyes. Whoever did this knew he was at Mercy General, Garrett continued. They knew his security detail, they knew his room number, and they knew exactly how to get past hospital security. This wasn't random, Lieutenant. This was a hit, and the only reason I'm calling you is because Perry thinks it's connected to Sentinel. Her stomach dropped. He thinks someone knows you're alive, Garrett said. And if they know, then this isn't just about killing an admiral. This is about tying up loose ends. She didn't respond. I need you to come back, Garrett said. Right now. I'm not military anymore. You were never officially discharged. According to DoD records, you're still KIA, which means if you're standing here breathing, someone screwed up. And people who screw up Black Ops don't just let it slide. She felt the rain starting to fall, cold against her face. Perry's asking for you, Garrett said, specifically, because he thinks you're the only one who can help us figure out who's behind this. I'm a nurse. You're a ghost, and right now that's exactly what we need. She stood there, rain soaking through her jacket, her mind spinning. Get back here, Lieutenant, Garrett said. That's an order. The line went dead. She stared at the phone, then at the hospital, barely visible through the rain. She could run, disappear again. She'd done it before, but Perry was right. If someone knew she was alive, running wouldn't save her. It would just make her easier to hunt. She turned around and walked back toward the hospital. Usamt. The side entrance was clear. She slipped in through the staff corridor, avoiding the main lobby. Her badge still worked. No one stopped her. She made it to Bay 6. The suits were still outside, but they looked tense now. Wired. One of them stepped forward. You can't… She's cleared, a voice said. A man stepped out of the room. Tall. Early 40s. Military posture. Dark eyes that missed nothing. Commander Nick Garrett. Lieutenant Voss, he said. Not a question. She didn't correct him. He gestured to the door. Inside. She walked in. Admiral Perry was sitting up now, looking pale, but alert. Roan was gone. The room was smaller than before, the walls closing in. Perry looked at her. Thank you for coming back. She crossed her arms. What's going on? Garrett closed the door. Someone tried to kill the Admiral. We caught it in time, but barely. And you think it's connected to me? We think it's connected to Sentinel, Perry said. And you're the only living member we can confirm. She shook her head. That unit's been dead for 6 years. On paper, Garrett said, but not in reality. Someone's been monitoring Sentinel survivors, or trying to. 3 months ago, an analyst flagged unusual activity in classified personnel files. Someone was searching for names, serial numbers, medical records. Who? We don't know. The search was routed through so many proxies we couldn't trace it, but it included your file. Her pulse spiked. 2 weeks ago, Garrett continued, Admiral Perry started receiving anonymous messages, encrypted, untraceable. They referenced Sentinel. Specifically, they mentioned Operation Sandpiper. What did they say? Perry leaned forward. They said the unit wasn't killed in action. They said it was executed. The room went silent. That's impossible, she said, but her voice sounded hollow. Is it? Perry asked. Because the after-action report for Sandpiper has more holes than a combat zone. No recovered bodies. No forensic evidence. Just a drone strike that conveniently erased 12 operators and any trace of what they were doing. She felt her hands start to shake. She clenched them into fists. I've been digging into Sandpiper for the last 6 years, Perry said. Quietly, carefully. And every time I get close to something real, the files disappear. Witnesses go silent. Leads dry up. It's like someone's scrubbing the record clean. Why? She asked. Why would anyone do that? Because Sentinel found something, Garrett said. Something big enough to get them all killed. She looked at Perry. You think I know what it was? I think you survived it, Perry said, which means you saw something, or heard something, or took something with you when you disappeared. She didn't respond, because he was right. She had taken something. 6 years ago. Yemen. 0300 hours. Operation Sandpiper was supposed to be a simple extraction. Get in, pull out a high-value informant, get out. Task Force Sentinel had done it 100 times. But this time was different. The informant wasn't a local asset. He was American, a defense contractor. And he was carrying a hard drive full of files that, according to him, proved a black market weapons pipeline running through U.S. military channels. The team didn't ask questions. That wasn't their job. Their job was to get him out alive. They almost did. The ambush hit them 2 clicks from the extraction point. Small arms fire, RPGs, coordinated, professional, not insurgents, Americans. Lieutenant Emma Voss remembered the radio chatter, the confusion, the screaming, then the airstrike. Their own side called it in. She survived because she'd been separated from the main group, dragging the informant through a drainage ditch while the world exploded behind her. When the dust cleared, there was nothing left. No team, no bodies, just fire. She'd pulled the informant out, barely. He died 2 hours later from blood loss, but before he did, he gave her the hard drive. Don't let them bury this, he'd whispered. Don't let them win. She'd taken it, hidden it, and then she'd disappeared. Because she knew. The strike wasn't an accident. It was an execution. Lieutenant. Perry's voice pulled her back. She blinked. What? I asked if you knew what Sentinel found. She hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I know. Garrett stepped closer. What was it? A weapons pipeline, she said, running through defense contractors and into hostile territory. Someone was selling U.S. military hardware to insurgent groups and pocketing the profit. The informant we were extracting had proof. Where's the proof now? Perry asked. She met his eyes. Hidden. Where? Somewhere safe. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting until I know who I can trust. Perry studied her, then nodded. Fair enough. Garrett wasn't satisfied. If that intel still exists, it makes you a target. A big one. I've been a target for 6 years, she said. I'm still here. Barely, Garrett said. And now someone knows where you are, which means The lights went out. The room plunged into darkness. Emergency lighting kicked in after 3 seconds, bathing everything in dull red. Garrett's hand went to his sidearm. "Stay here." He opened the door. The hallway was dark. The suits outside were gone. "Where the hell?" Gunfire. 3 sharp cracks, suppressed. Garrett slammed the door shut and locked it. "We're compromised." Perry was already moving, swinging his legs off the bed despite the IV still in his arm. Voss grabbed the crash cart and shoved it in front of the door. "How many exits?" "1," Garrett said. "The door we just locked." "Then we're trapped." "Not yet." He pulled a radio from his belt, keyed it. "All units, this is Garrett. We have an active breach in the east wing. Repeat, active breach. Respond." Static. "Damn it!" He switched frequencies. Tried again. Nothing. Voss moved to the window. 4th floor, too high to jump. No fire escape. She turned back. "We need to move. Now." "Where?" Perry asked. "Anywhere but here." Footsteps in the hallway. Fast. Tactical. Garrett raised his weapon. "Get behind me." Voss grabbed a pair of scissors from the supply tray. Not much, but better than nothing. The door handle turned, then stopped. Silence. Garrett's finger hovered over the trigger. Then the door exploded inward. The crash cart took most of the blast, but the force knocked Voss back into the wall. Her head cracked against tile. Stars burst across her vision. Garrett fired twice. Someone screamed, then more gunfire, louder, closer. Voss forced herself up, blinking through the pain. 3 men in black tactical gear poured through the door. No insignia, no markings. Professionals. Garrett dropped one with a headshot. The second returned fire, rounds punching through the drywall. Perry hit the floor, scrambling for cover behind the bed. Voss moved. Old instincts, buried under 6 years of scrubs and routine, but still there. She grabbed a metal IV pole and swung it like a bat, catching the second shooter across the jaw. He staggered. She drove the pole into his throat. He went down choking. The third shooter turned toward her. Garrett shot him twice in the chest. The man dropped. Silence. Voss stood there, breathing hard, the IV pole still in her hands. Her ears were ringing, her hands were shaking, but she was alive. Garrett moved to the door, checking the hallway. "Clear for now, but there'll be more." Perry got to his feet, ripping the IV out of his arm. "How many?" "No idea, but they cut the power and killed my security detail. This is a full-scale assault." Voss dropped the pole. "We need to get out of this wing." Agreed. "Where?" She thought fast. "Surgical floor, 2 levels up, restricted access, fewer entry points." Garrett nodded. "Lead the way." She moved into the hallway, stepping over bodies, her mind running on autopilot. Left turn, service stairs, up 2 flights. Behind her, Garrett covered their rear. Perry kept pace, moving better than a man his age should after nearly being poisoned. They made it to the stairwell. Voss pushed through the door and froze. 4 more shooters. Coming down from above. She slammed the door shut. "Stairs are compromised." "Elevator?" "Locked down with the power." Garrett swore. "Then we're boxed in." Voss looked around. Supply closet, medication room, nurse's station. Then she saw it. Laundry chute. "This way." She ran to the chute, yanked it open. Dark, narrow, but it led down to the basement. "You're kidding," Garrett said. "You have a better idea?" He didn't. Perry went first, then Garrett. Voss went last, pulling the chute door shut behind her. She dropped into darkness, the world a blur of metal and noise, and hit the bottom hard. A pile of linens broke her fall, barely. Garrett pulled her up. "You okay?" "Fine. Move." They were in the basement now, boiler room, maintenance tunnels, pipes and concrete and flickering lights. "This leads to the loading dock," Voss said. "East side. We can get out there." They ran. Behind them, the sound of boots on metal. The shooters had found the chute. "Faster," Garrett said. They turned a corner. Another. The tunnels all looked the same. Then Voss saw the exit, a heavy steel door with a push bar. She hit it full speed. The door burst open into cold night air. Rain hammered down. The loading dock was empty except for a single ambulance, engine running. "There," Perry said. They ran for it. The driver's side door opened. A woman stepped out. Late 30s, dark hair, tactical vest. She raised a pistol. "Lieutenant Voss," she said, "you're a hard person to kill." Voss stopped. The woman smiled. "But not impossible." Garrett raised his weapon. "Drop it." "No, I don't think I will." More shooters emerged from the shadows. 6, 8, 10. They were surrounded. The woman stepped closer, keeping her gun trained on Voss. "You should have stayed dead, Lieutenant. Would have saved everyone a lot of trouble." "Who are you?" Voss asked. "Someone who cleans up messes. And you, unfortunately, are a very old mess." "Why now?" Perry demanded. "It's been 6 years." "Because 6 years ago we didn't know she'd taken the files," the woman said. "We thought they burned with the informant, but then you started digging, Admiral, asking questions, pulling records, and we realized someone had talked." "So you tried to kill him," Garrett said. "We tried to send a message, but he didn't take the hint." She looked at Voss. "And now here you are, the ghost who wouldn't die, with the only evidence that could bring down a very lucrative operation." "The weapons pipeline," Voss said. The woman smiled. "Bigger than that. But yes, you and your little task force stumbled onto something you weren't supposed to see, and now it's time to finish what we started in Yemen." She raised her gun. Voss didn't move. The woman's finger tightened on the trigger, and the night exploded with light. Helicopters, 3 of them, Blackhawks, dropping fast. Floodlights lit up the loading dock like daylight. A voice boomed through a loudspeaker. "Federal agents, drop your weapons." The woman's smile vanished. The shooters scattered. Garrett grabbed Voss and Perry and pulled them behind the ambulance as gunfire erupted. Federal agents repelled from the helicopters, returning fire. The loading dock turned into a war zone. Voss pressed her back against the ambulance, her heart pounding. "Who called them?" she shouted over the noise. Garrett grinned. "I did. 2 hours ago. Just in case." The firefight lasted 90 seconds. When it was over, 6 shooters were down. The woman was on her knees, hands zip-tied behind her back, blood running from her nose. A federal agent approached. "Admiral Perry?" Perry nodded. "Sir, we're with DOD Criminal Investigation. We've been tracking this operation for 3 months. Your security detail tipped us off when they lost contact." "What operation?" Perry asked. "A black market weapons ring. Defense contractors, DOD officials, and private military companies selling classified hardware to hostile groups. It's been running for over a decade." Perry looked at Voss. "You were right." She nodded. The agent turned to her. "You're Lieutenant Emma Voss?" She hesitated, then nodded. "We're going to need you to come with us, ma'am. You have information critical to this investigation." "She's not going anywhere without protection," Garrett said. "She'll have it. Full federal custody. Witness protection if necessary." Voss looked at Perry. "You knew this was coming." "I suspected," he said. "That's why I pushed. I needed you to surface, because you're the only one who can bury these people for good." She wanted to be angry, but she was too tired. "The files," the agent said. "Do you still have them?" She nodded. "Yeah, I still have them." "Where?" She smiled faintly. "Somewhere very safe, and you're not getting them until I see immunity in writing." The agent didn't argue. "Fair enough." They loaded her into one of the helicopters. Perry and Garrett went with her. As they lifted off, she looked down at the loading dock. The bodies, the wreckage, the life she'd tried to leave behind. It had found her anyway. But this time she wasn't running. This time she was going to finish it. The helicopter banked hard over the Delaware River, and Voss felt her stomach lurch. She gripped the nylon webbing tighter, knuckles white, trying to ignore the way the city lights blurred below. Perry sat across from her, eyes closed, breathing controlled. Garrett was on the radio, voice clipped and professional, coordinating with someone on the ground. She couldn't hear what he was saying over the rotor noise. Didn't matter. She knew where this was going. Federal custody meant interrogation, debriefing, hours of questions about things she'd spent 6 years trying to forget. And at the end of it, they'd want the files. The hard drive she'd buried so deep, even she had moments where she wondered if it still existed. The agent sitting next to her leaned in. "We're heading to Fort Dix. Secure facility. You'll be safe there." Safe. The word felt like a joke. She'd been safe for 6 years, and look where that got her. The helicopter touched down 20 minutes later on a floodlit pad surrounded by chain link and razor wire. Military police waiting at the perimeter, Humvees with mounted guns. This wasn't a hospital anymore. This was a fortress. They hustled her across the tarmac, Perry and Garrett flanking her like bodyguards. Inside, the building was all concrete and fluorescent lights. Sterile, cold, the kind of place designed to make you feel small. They put her in a conference room, gray walls, metal table, 2 chairs, a camera in the corner with a blinking red light. "Wait here," the agent said, and left. The door locked behind him. Voss sat down, folded her hands on the table, stared at the camera. 30 seconds passed, then a minute. She stood up, paced the room, checked the door. Locked, as expected. No windows. No air vents big enough to crawl through, just 4 walls and a camera watching her every move. She sat back down. The door opened. A man walked in. Late 50s, civilian suit, silver hair cut military short. He carried a tablet and a file folder, setting both on the table before sitting across from her. "Lieutenant Emma Voss?" he said. Not a question. She didn't respond. He opened the folder. Impressive record. 2 tours, 3 combat citations. Trauma specialist attached to JSOC. Task Force Sentinel. Officially declared KYA in Yemen, March 2019. "If I'm dead, why am I here?" He smiled. Didn't reach his eyes. "That's what we're trying to figure out. Who are you?" Deputy Director Alan Crow, Department of Defense Criminal Investigation Task Force. I've been tracking the weapons pipeline your unit discovered for the last 18 months. Took you long enough. Crow's smile vanished. We didn't know it existed until 3 months ago, and we didn't know you existed until tonight. Lucky you. He leaned back. Admiral Perry believes you have evidence, files taken from the informant your team was extracting during Operation Sandpiper. Maybe. That's not an answer, Lieutenant. It's the only one you're getting. Crow studied her. You don't trust me. I don't trust anyone. Smart, but impractical. Because right now you're sitting in a locked room in a military facility, and the only way you walk out of here is if you cooperate. She met his eyes. You threatening me? I'm explaining reality. Reality is I've been dead for 6 years because someone wanted me that way. And now you show up asking for files that could get me killed again. So forgive me if I'm not feeling cooperative. Crow's jaw tightened. Those files are the only proof we have that this pipeline exists. Without them, everyone involved walks. Defense contractors, DoD officials, private military executives, they all go free. Not my problem. It is if you want immunity. She didn't blink. Then I guess we're negotiating. Crow pushed the tablet across the table. Look at this. She glanced down. A photo. Grainy. Surveillance footage. A man in a suit shaking hands with someone in military fatigues. Middle Eastern. Armed guards in the background. That's Gerald Hobson, Crow said, CEO of Meridian Defense Solutions, one of the largest private military contractors in the world. He's been selling U.S. military hardware to insurgent groups for over a decade. He swiped to the next photo. Another handshake, different location, same man. That's Senator William Drexler, Armed Services Committee. He's been signing off on procurement contracts that funnel equipment directly to Hobson's shell companies. Another swipe, another face. Colonel Raymond Stokes, Pentagon Logistics. He reroutes shipments, makes inventory disappear, covers the paper trail. Voss felt her chest tighten. These men are responsible for the deaths of hundreds of American soldiers, Crow said. Maybe thousands. And they're still operating, still profiting, because we don't have proof. You have photos. Photos aren't proof. They're circumstantial. We need documentation, financial records, communications, hard evidence that ties them directly to the sales. And you think I have that? I know you do. She looked at the faces on the screen, memorized them. What happens if I give you the files? Full immunity, witness protection, new identity, clean slate. And if I don't? Crow's expression hardened. Then you stay in this room until you change your mind. She laughed, bitter. That's illegal. So is faking your death and living under a false identity for 6 years. Silence. Crow leaned forward. I'm not your enemy, Lieutenant, but I'm not your friend either. I'm a man trying to do a job. And you're the only person who can help me do it. She stared at him, then at the tablet, then at the camera in the corner. I need guarantees, she said. You'll get them. In writing. Done. And I want protection, real protection, not some half-assed safe house that gets compromised the first time someone asks questions. You'll have it. She nodded slowly. Fine. I'll tell you where the files are. Crow exhaled. Where? Not here. I need to go get them. His eyes narrowed. Where are they? Safe deposit box, Philadelphia, First National Bank, under a different name. What name? I'll tell you when we get there. Crow didn't look happy. That's not how this works. It is now, because if I give you the name, you'll send someone else to get them, and I'll lose my only leverage. You don't have leverage. I have the files. That's all the leverage I need. Crow stared at her, then picked up his phone, spoke quietly into it, hung up. Fine, he said. We leave in 30 minutes. But if you're lying, I'm not. I will personally make sure you spend the rest of your life in a cell. She met his eyes. Get in line. They loaded her into an armored SUV 20 minutes later. Crow in the front passenger seat, Garrett driving, 2 more agents in a second vehicle behind them. Perry stayed at Fort Dix, too valuable to risk on a field op. The drive to Philadelphia took 40 minutes. No one spoke. Voss watched the highway lights streak past, her mind running through contingencies. The files were real. The safe deposit box was real. But the name she'd used wasn't Emma Voss or Sarah Hallis. It was a third identity. One she'd built in the first 6 months after Yemen. A ghost behind a ghost. They pulled up to the bank at 02:30. Closed, obviously. Dark. Crow made a call. 5 minutes later, a bank manager arrived, nervous and sweating despite the cold. He unlocked the door and led them inside, hands shaking as he entered the security code. We need access to box 447, Crow said. The manager nodded. I'll need identification from the box holder. Crow looked at Voss. Well? She reached into her jacket and pulled out a driver's license. New Jersey. Name, Rebecca Cole. Her face. Different hair in the photo. Older, but unmistakably her. The manager took it, compared it to his records, and nodded. This way. They followed him down a narrow hallway to the vault. Heavy steel door. Biometric scanner. The manager swiped his card and pressed his thumb to the pad. The door hissed open. Inside, rows of metal boxes lined the walls. The manager located 447, inserted his key, and gestured for Voss to insert hers. She pulled it from around her neck. Small, silver, worn from 6 years of wear. She slid it into the lock and turned. The box slid out. Crow stepped closer. Open it. She lifted the lid. Inside, a single hard drive. Black, compact, no labels, just a serial number etched into the casing. Crow stared at it. That's it? That's it. He reached for it. She closed the lid. Not yet, she said. We had a deal. And I'm keeping it. But first I want the immunity agreement. Signed, notarized, official. Crow's jaw clenched. You're pushing it, Lieutenant. I'm protecting myself. He pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke in clipped tones, hung up. It'll be ready in 2 hours. Then we wait. They returned to Fort Dix just as the sun started bleeding over the horizon. Voss sat in the same conference room, the hard drive in an evidence bag on the table in front of her. Crow had disappeared to handle paperwork. Garrett brought her coffee. She didn't drink it. Perry arrived an hour later, looking better, steadier. He sat down across from her. You did the right thing, he said. Did I? Yes. She glanced at the hard drive. I've been carrying that around for 6 years. Every time I moved, every time I changed identities, always wondering if someone would find it, if I'd wake up with a gun in my face. And now it's over. Is it? Perry didn't answer. The door opened. Crow walked in with a folder. He set it on the table and opened it. Full immunity agreement, he said. Signed by the Attorney General, witnessed by 2 federal judges. You're clear of all charges related to your disappearance, false identity, and any actions taken during Operation Sandpiper. Voss scanned the document. Legal language, dense but clear. She signed it. Crow countersigned, then handed her a copy. Congratulations, Lieutenant. You're officially alive again. She didn't feel like celebrating. Crow picked up the evidence bag. We'll analyze the drive, cross-reference the data, build cases against everyone involved. How long? Weeks. Maybe months. These things take time. And in the meantime, you stay here, protected, until we're sure there's no blowback. She nodded. Expected that. Crow left. Perry stayed. What now? She asked. Now we wait, and hope the files are enough. They are. You sound certain. I saw them. The informant showed me before he died. Financial records, shipping manifests, encrypted communications, everything tied directly to Hobson and his network. Perry nodded slowly. Then we have them. Maybe. What do you mean? She hesitated. The informant said something before he died. He said the pipeline wasn't just about weapons. He said it was bigger. Bigger how? He didn't get a chance to explain. Perry frowned. Did he say anything else? Just that if the files got out, it wouldn't just bring down Hobson. It would bring down half the Pentagon. The room went cold. Perry stood. I need to make a call. He left. Voss sat alone, staring at the door, her mind racing. Something felt wrong. 2 hours later, the base went into lockdown. Alarms blaring, red lights flashing, armed soldiers rushing through the corridors. Garrett burst into the conference room. We need to move. Now. What's happening? Breach. Someone's inside the perimeter. How? We don't know, but they're heading this way. He grabbed her arm and pulled her into the hallway. Soldiers rushed past, shouting, orders, chaos. They made it to a stairwell, down 2 flights, into a basement corridor lined with pipes and electrical panels. Where are we going? Voss asked. Secure bunker, underground, reinforced. They can't get to you there. Who's they? Garrett didn't answer. They reached a heavy steel door. Garrett swiped his card. The door unlocked. He pushed her inside. The bunker was small, 10 by 10. Concrete walls, single light bulb. A metal bench bolted to the floor. Stay here, Garrett said. Don't open the door for anyone but me or Perry. Wait. He slammed the door shut. The lock clicked. Voss stood in the silence, breathing hard, her pulse hammering. Then the light went out. She froze. Footsteps. Outside. Heavy. Deliberate. She pressed her back against the wall, hands searching the dark for anything she could use. Nothing. Just concrete and cold air. The door handle turned. She held her breath. The door opened. A flashlight beam cut through the dark, blinding her. A figure stepped inside. Tall. Male. Military uniform. Not Garrett. Lieutenant Voss, the man said. His voice was calm, cold. She didn't respond. He stepped closer. The flashlight lowered, and she saw his face. Colonel Raymond Stokes, the man from Crow's photos. Pentagon Logistics. Part of the pipeline. Her blood turned to ice. You should have stayed dead, Stokes said. He raised a pistol and fired. She moved before the sound finished echoing. The shot went wide, punching concrete where her head had been half a second earlier. Voss dropped low and drove forward, shoulder slamming into Stokes's midsection. The impact sent them both crashing into the doorframe. His flashlight clattered to the floor, spinning, throwing wild shadows across the walls. Stokes brought the pistol down hard. She caught his wrist with both hands, redirecting the barrel away from her face. He was stronger, heavier. But she'd trained for this. Muscle memory older than her nursing license kicked in. She twisted his arm, hyperextending the elbow, and drove her knee into his ribs. He grunted. Didn't let go. She hit him again, same spot. Felt something crack. He backhanded her across the face with his free hand. Her vision blurred. She tasted blood. But she didn't let go of his wrist. They hit the floor hard, grappling in the dark. The pistol went off again, deafening in the enclosed space. The round sparked off the concrete ceiling. Voss jammed her thumb into the pressure point behind his ear. Stokes roared and threw her off. She rolled, came up in a crouch, and grabbed the flashlight. Stokes was already on his feet, pistol raised. She threw the flashlight at his face. He fired. Missed. She closed the distance and drove the heel of her palm into his nose. Cartilage crunched, blood sprayed. He staggered back and she swept his legs. He went down hard. The pistol skittered across the floor. Voss lunged for it. Stokes grabbed her ankle and yanked. She hit the concrete face first, tasting copper and concrete dust. He crawled on top of her, forearm pressing into the back of her neck, crushing her windpipe against the floor. "You're done," he hissed. She couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Black spots crowded her vision. Her hand scrabbled across the floor. Found nothing, just cold concrete. Then her fingers brushed metal. The flashlight. She grabbed it, swung it backward over her shoulder, connected with something solid. Stokes's grip loosened. She swung again, harder. He fell off her. Voss rolled onto her back, gasping, and swung the flashlight a third time. Caught him across the temple. He collapsed. She didn't wait to see if he'd get up. She grabbed the pistol, checked the chamber, 3 rounds left, and stumbled out of the bunker into the corridor. Alarms still blaring, red emergency lights strobing. No soldiers, no Garrett, just her and the sound of her own breathing. She moved down the corridor, weapon up, checking corners. Her ears were ringing from the gunshots. Her face throbbed where Stokes had hit her. But she was alive. For now. She reached a junction, left or right. No signs, no memory of how she'd gotten down here. Footsteps behind her. She spun, pistol raised. Garrett came around the corner, weapon drawn. He saw her and lowered it. "Jesus, I thought he—" "Stokes," she said. "He's in the bunker, unconscious." Garrett's face went hard. "Stokes is here?" "Yeah, and he just tried to kill me." "That's not possible. He's supposed to be at the Pentagon." "Well, he's not. He's down here. And if he got in, that means—" "The breach isn't external," Garrett finished. "It's internal." They stared at each other. "Where's Perry?" Voss asked. "Command center, upper level. We need to get to him." "Agreed. This way." They ran. The corridors twisted and turned, all identical concrete and pipes. Voss kept the pistol up, scanning for threats. Garrett led, moving fast but controlled, radio pressed to his ear. "Garrett to command. Do you copy?" Static. "Command? Respond." Nothing. He swore and picked up the pace. They hit a stairwell, started climbing. 2 flights, 3. Voss's lungs burned. Her legs felt like concrete. But she didn't slow down. They burst through a door onto the main level. Chaos. Soldiers running, shouting, smoke drifting through the hallways. "What the hell happened?" Voss asked. "Explosion?" "West Wing." "Explosion?" "Breach team. They're not just here for you. They're destroying evidence." Her stomach dropped. "The hard drive." Garrett's face went pale. "Where is it?" "Crow had it. He said he was taking it to the analysis lab." "That's in the West Wing." They ran faster. The smell hit them first, burning plastic and melted metal. Then the smoke thickened, choking. They rounded a corner and saw it. The lab. Or what was left of it. The door blown off its hinges, interior gutted by fire, equipment smashed, paper scattered and burning. Voss stepped inside, coughing, eyes watering. "Crow!" Garrett shouted. No response. They found him behind an overturned desk, not moving, blood pooling beneath him. Voss dropped to her knees and checked for a pulse. Faint. Thready. "He's alive." "Barely." She ripped open his shirt. Gunshot wound. Upper chest, close range. The bullet had missed the heart but punctured the lung. She could hear the sucking sound with each shallow breath. "I need a med kit," she said. Garrett was already pulling one from the wall. He tossed it to her. She worked fast. Chest seal over the wound, pressure dressing, IV line in his arm, fluids running. "He's not going to make it without surgery," she said. "Can you stabilize him?" "For maybe 20 minutes. After that, he's gone." Garrett keyed his radio. "All units, we have a critical casualty in the West Wing lab. I need immediate medevac." A voice crackled back. "Negative. Airspace is locked down. No birds in or out until the threat is neutralized." "Damn it!" Garrett looked at Voss. "What do we do?" "We get him out of here, find a vehicle, drive him to the nearest hospital." "That's 15 miles. Then we better move fast." They lifted Crow between them and started back toward the exit. He was dead weight, groaning with each step, blood soaking through the dressings. They made it to the main corridor when the lights went out. Complete darkness. Then emergency lighting kicked in, dim, red, barely enough to see. "Power's out," Garrett said. "Backup generators?" "Should be running, unless someone sabotaged them." Voss felt the pistol heavy in her hand. 3 rounds. Not enough. "We need to find Perry," she said. "He's in the command center, upper level." "Then that's where we go." They moved through the dark, dragging Crow between them. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every sound made Voss's finger tighten on the trigger. They reached the stairwell, started climbing. Crow's breathing was getting worse. Rapid, shallow, dying. "Stay with us," Voss said. "Come on." He didn't respond. They reached the upper level. The command center door was open. Lights flickering inside. Garrett went in first, weapon raised. The room was trashed, monitors shattered, desks overturned. And in the center, surrounded by 4 armed men in tactical gear, was Admiral Perry, alive. On his knees, hands zip-tied behind his back. One of the men had a gun to his head. Garrett froze. Voss stayed in the doorway, hidden in shadow. The man with the gun looked up. "Commander Garrett, good of you to join us." Garrett didn't lower his weapon. "Let him go." "Can't do that?" "You know how this ends?" "Yeah, with everyone in this room dead except me." The man smiled. "Drop the gun." Garrett didn't move. The man cocked the hammer. "I won't ask again." Garrett lowered his weapon, set it on the floor. "Kick it over." He did. "Now step inside." Garrett stepped forward. The man gestured to his team. 2 of them moved toward Garrett, weapons raised. Voss made her decision. She stepped into the room, pistol up, and fired. The first round caught one of the men in the shoulder. He spun and went down. The second round missed. The third hit the man holding Perry. Center mass. He dropped. Then her gun clicked empty. The remaining 2 men turned toward her. Garrett moved. He grabbed the nearest man's rifle, twisted it out of his hands, and drove the stock into his face. Bone crunched. The man collapsed. The last man fired. Garrett took the round in the leg and went down hard. Voss threw the empty pistol. It hit the shooter in the head. He flinched. Perry, still zip-tied, threw himself sideways and kicked the man's legs out from under him. The man hit the floor. Voss was on him in a second, driving her knee into his throat. He choked, thrashing, and went still. Silence. Voss stood, breathing hard, her hands shaking. Perry looked up at her. "Nice timing." She didn't answer, just moved to Garrett. He was conscious, clutching his leg, blood seeping between his fingers. "How bad?" she asked. "Hurts like hell, but I'll live." She checked the wound, through and through, missed the femoral artery. Lucky. She grabbed a tourniquet from Garrett's vest and applied it above the wound. He hissed, but didn't pull away. "Can you walk?" "Not well." "Good enough." She helped him up, then turned to Perry. "We need to go." "Where?" "Anywhere but here." Perry nodded. "There's a vehicle bay on the east side. If we can get there, we can get there," Voss said. She grabbed a rifle from one of the downed men. Checked the magazine. Full. Handed it to Perry after cutting his zip ties with a knife from the dead man's belt. "You remember how to use this?" she asked. Perry racked the slide. "It's been a while, but yeah." "Good, because we're not done yet." They moved out. The corridors were a war zone. Bodies on the floor, bullet holes in the walls, smoke thick enough to choke on. Voss led, rifle up, scanning corners. Perry supported Garrett, who was limping badly now, face pale from blood loss. Crow was gone, dead somewhere back in the stairwell. There hadn't been time to check. They reached the east wing. The vehicle bay door was ahead, maybe 50 feet, wide open, dark inside. "That doesn't feel right," Garrett muttered. "Nothing about this feels right," Voss said. They approached slowly. Voss went first, weapon raised, every nerve on edge. The bay was empty, no vehicles, no soldiers, just one woman standing in the center. The same woman from the hospital loading dock. Dark hair, tactical vest, pistol in her hand. She smiled when she saw Voss. "Lieutenant, we keep running into each other." Voss kept the rifle aimed at her center mass. You're persistent. I'll give you that. So are you. Most people would have died twice by now. Most people aren't me. The woman laughed. No, they're not. She glanced at Perry and Garrett. Admiral, Commander, you both look terrible. Perry raised his rifle. Drop the weapon. Or what? You'll shoot me? You're barely standing. Try me. The woman tilted her head. I don't think I will. She looked back at Voss. You know what's funny? We weren't supposed to kill you in Yemen. That was never the plan. Voss felt her chest tighten. What? Your unit. Task Force Sentinel. The hit was supposed to take out the informant and destroy the files. You were collateral, acceptable losses. She shrugged. But you survived. And then you disappeared. And for 6 years we thought the files died with the informant. They didn't. No, they didn't. And now here we are. Who are you working for? Perry demanded. Does it matter? You're all dead anyway. Voss's finger tightened on the trigger. You talk too much. The woman's smile widened. And you're too sentimental. That's your weakness. You care about people, about doing the right thing. That's why you took the files. That's why you came back to the hospital. That's why you're standing here now instead of running. You don't know me. I know you better than you think. Behind them, Voss heard footsteps, slow, deliberate. She glanced back. Stokes stepped into the bay, face bloody, pistol in hand. You should have hit me harder, he said. Voss felt the trap close around them. Let me guess, she said. This is where you tell us we're surrounded. The woman nodded. Smart girl. More footsteps from every direction. Armed men pouring into the bay. 10, 15, 20, too many. Perry lowered his rifle. This is insane. You can't cover this up. Too many people know. Actually, the woman said, we can. A terrorist attack on a military base. Tragic, devastating, but ultimately contained. Everyone inside dies. The files are destroyed, and the pipeline keeps running. You're going to blow the base, Garrett said. Already done. Charges are set. Remote detonation. 5 minutes. Voss felt her pulse spike. You're bluffing. Am I? The woman pulled out a small device. A detonator. Thumb on the button. Drop your weapons, she said, or I push this button and we all die right now. Voss didn't move. I mean it, Lieutenant. So do I. The woman's eyes narrowed. You're willing to die for this? Are you? Silence. Then the woman smiled again. Yes. She pressed the button. Nothing happened. The woman frowned, pressed it again. Still nothing. Looking for this? A voice from the shadows, familiar. Deputy Director Crow stepped into the light, holding a small black box. The real detonator. He was alive. Barely. Blood soaking through his shirt, face pale, but standing. Sorry, he said. Found your little toy while you were monologuing. The woman's face went white. Crow tossed the detonator to Voss. She caught it. Now, Crow said. Everyone drop your weapons, or the lieutenant pushes the button and we all learn what it's like to fly. The armed men hesitated. Stokes lowered his pistol. Slowly, the woman didn't move. You're bluffing, she said. Crow smiled, blood on his teeth. Try me. A standoff. Then, from outside, the sound of helicopters. Lots of them. The woman's eyes went wide. That'll be the FBI, Crow said. I called them before your friends destroyed the lab. They've been circling for the last 10 minutes, waiting for my signal. He pulled out a phone, pressed a button. The bay doors exploded inward. Federal agents stormed in, weapons raised, shouting commands. The armed men dropped their weapons. Stokes tried to run, got tackled by 3 agents before he made it 5 feet. The woman just stood there, staring at Voss. This isn't over, she said. Yeah, Voss said. It is. The agents cuffed her and dragged her away. Crow collapsed. Voss caught him before he hit the ground. You're an idiot, she said. He coughed. Blood flecked his lips. Noted. Medics rushed in, took Crow, took Garrett. Perry waved them off, insisting he was fine. Voss stood in the middle of the bay, surrounded by chaos, and felt the adrenaline start to drain. They'd won, barely. 3 hours later, Voss sat in a clean conference room with a cup of coffee she hadn't touched. Perry was across from her, bandaged but alive. Garrett was in surgery. Crow was in critical condition but stable. An FBI assistant director whose name she'd already forgotten sat at the head of the table. The hard drive was recovered, he said. Intact. We've begun analyzing the contents. Initial findings confirm everything you told us. Financial records, shipping manifests, communications linking Hobson, Drexler, Stokes, and at least 24 others to the weapons pipeline. Good, Perry said. It's more than good, Admiral. It's the biggest corruption case in DoD history. These arrests will have ramifications for years. What about the woman? Voss asked. Amelia Strand, former CIA. Went private 5 years ago. She was the cleaner, handled the wet work, made problems disappear. He paused. Including your unit. Voss felt her hands clench. She admitted it? Once we played her the recording from the vehicle bay, she started talking, trying to cut a deal. Won't work. She's going away for life. And Stokes? Singing like a bird, gave us names, dates, account numbers. He's hoping for a reduced sentence. Will he get it? The assistant director smiled. Not a chance. Perry nodded. What happens now? Now we build cases. Lots of them. It'll take months, maybe years, but we'll dismantle the entire network. He looked at Voss. And you, Lieutenant, are the key witness. We'll need you for depositions, testimony, the works. She nodded. Whatever you need. There's one more thing. He slid a folder across the table. Your reinstatement paperwork. Effective immediately. Full rank, full benefits. Backdated to the day you were declared KIA. Voss stared at the folder. I don't want to go back. You don't have to. This just clears your record, makes you whole. What you do after that is up to you. She opened the folder. Her name, her rank, her service record. All of it real again. Thank you, she said quietly. The assistant director stood. The country owes you a debt, Lieutenant, whether anyone knows it or not. He left. Perry looked at her. How do you feel? Tired? That's fair. What about you? He smiled. Old, but alive. That's good enough. She almost smiled back. What will you do now? Perry asked. I don't know. Maybe go back to nursing. You're good at it. I'm better at other things. That's true. But you're also good at saving lives. Don't forget that. She nodded. Perry stood. I need to check on Garrett. You coming? In a minute. He left. Voss sat alone in the quiet, staring at the folder. 6 years of hiding, running, pretending. And now it was over. She was Emma Voss again. She wasn't sure how she felt about that. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Lieutenant Voss. A man's voice, unfamiliar, calm. Who is this? Someone who knows what you did, and what you have. Her blood went cold. The files are with the FBI. Are they? All of them? She didn't respond. The informant gave you 2 drives, Lieutenant. Not one. You gave them the decoy. But the real files, the ones that implicate people even we can't touch, you kept those. Her throat went dry. How do you... Because I was there. Yemen. I watched your unit die. I watched you survive. And I've been waiting 6 years for you to surface. Who are you? Someone who wants to make a deal. You give me the real drive. I make sure no one ever comes looking for you again. I don't have a second drive. The man laughed. Yes, you do. And if you don't hand it over, everyone you care about dies, starting with Admiral Perry. The line went dead. Voss sat frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear. Because he was right. There was a second drive, and she'd hidden it somewhere no one would ever find it. Until now. She stared at the phone for 10 seconds before her hands started shaking. The second drive. She hadn't thought about it in years. Hadn't let herself think about it. Because thinking about it meant remembering the informant's last words, the way his blood had soaked into the sand, the weight of his hand gripping hers as he pressed both drives into her palm. 2 copies, he'd whispered. One's the evidence, the other's the insurance. Don't ever give them both. She'd buried the first drive in a safe deposit box under Rebecca Cole's name. Standard procedure. Traceable if you knew where to look. The second drive she'd hidden somewhere else entirely. somewhere no one would think to search. She grabbed her jacket and walked out of the conference room. Perry was down the hall talking to a doctor. She didn't stop, just kept moving, out through the main entrance, past the FBI checkpoint, into the parking lot. A black sedan was waiting, engine running, driver's window down. The man behind the wheel was in his early 50s, gray suit, no expression. "Get in, Lieutenant." She didn't recognize him. "Who sent you?" "Someone who wants to talk." "Not interested." "You don't have a choice." She looked around. No FBI, no soldiers, just empty parking lot and distant floodlights. "If I don't get in?" "Then Admiral Perry doesn't make it through the night." She got in. The car pulled out smoothly, no rush, blending into traffic like it had every right to be there. The man didn't speak, just drove. Voss watched the streets pass, cataloging exits, memorizing turns. They drove for 20 minutes, out of Fort Dix, through back roads, into an industrial area she didn't recognize. Warehouses, chain link fences, no lights. The car stopped in front of a corrugated metal building. The man got out, opened her door. Inside, she stepped out. The air was cold, quiet, the kind of quiet that made her skin crawl. The man gestured to the warehouse entrance. She walked toward it. He followed 3 steps behind. The door wasn't locked. She pushed it open. Inside was a single room, empty except for a table, 2 chairs, and a man sitting in one of them. He was older than she expected. Late 60s, white hair, expensive suit, hands folded on the table like he was waiting for a business meeting. "Lieutenant Voss," he said. "Thank you for coming." She stayed near the door. "I didn't have a choice." "Everyone has choices. You just made yours." "Who are you?" "My name is Victor Leland. I'm the man who's been running the pipeline for the last 15 years. She felt her chest tighten. "Hobson's boss. Hobson's partner. There's a difference." He gestured to the empty chair. "Sit." She didn't move. Leland smiled faintly. "You're wondering if this is a trap. It's not. If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead. I want to talk." "About the second drive." "About what's on it." She crossed her arms. "How do you know there is a second drive?" "Because the informant told me before you extracted him. He was hedging his bets. Thought if he gave you 2 drives, one of them might survive long enough to matter." Leland leaned back. "He was right. One survived. But it's the wrong one. The FBI has everything they need. The FBI has what you gave them: financial records, shipping manifests, enough to dismantle Hobson's network and put a few dozen people in prison. But that's not the real story." "Then what is?" Leland's expression didn't change. "The second drive contains names, not contractors, not logistics officers, senators, generals, cabinet members, people who make policy, people who decide which wars we fight and which ones we don't." Voss felt the floor shift beneath her. "The weapons pipeline wasn't a side hustle," Leland continued. "It was foreign policy, controlled destabilization. We armed insurgents, let them create chaos, then sold solutions to governments who needed us to fix the mess we made. Everyone profited, everyone stayed in power, and no one asked questions. That's insane. That's business." She stared at him. "You're telling me the U.S. government has been deliberately arming enemies?" "Not the government. A handful of people inside it. People who understand that war is the most profitable industry on the planet, and the second drive proves it." "Then why are you here? Why not just take it?" "Because I don't know where it is, and neither does anyone else. You're the only one who does." She didn't respond. Leland leaned forward. "I'm offering you a deal. Give me the drive. Walk away. Live your life. No one comes after you. No one touches Perry. You disappear again, and this time you stay gone. And if I don't? Then I make one phone call, and everyone you care about dies. Perry, Garrett, every nurse you worked with at Mercy General, everyone." "You're bluffing." "Am I?" He pulled out a phone, set it on the table, pulled up a photo. Perry, in a hospital bed, asleep. A man in scrubs standing next to him, hand near the IV line. Voss's blood went cold. "That was taken 20 minutes ago," Leland said. "One word from me and he dies. Quietly, painlessly. Just another complication from his injuries." She wanted to lunge across the table, wanted to put her hands around his throat and squeeze until he stopped breathing. But she didn't, because he was right. He had the leverage. "What makes you think I'll give you the drive?" she asked. "Because you're a good person, and good people make predictable choices." He slid the phone across the table. "You have 1 hour. Call me when you're ready to deal." He stood, walked toward the door. "Wait," she said. He stopped. "If I give you the drive, how do I know you'll keep your word?" He looked back at her. "You don't, but you don't have any other options." He left. The driver stepped in. "Let's go," Sheb. They drove her back to Fort Dix, dropped her at the entrance, drove away. She stood in the parking lot, Leland's phone heavy in her pocket, and tried to think. 1 hour. Maybe less. She walked back inside, found Perry still in the hallway, now sitting in a chair looking exhausted. "Where did you go?" he asked. "Needed air." He studied her. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Something like that." He stood slowly. "What's wrong?" She hesitated, then told him everything. The phone call, Leland, the second drive, the threat. Perry's face went hard. "He threatened me? He threatened everyone. That bastard!" He pulled out his own phone. "I'm calling the FBI. And tell them what? That a man you can't prove exists made a threat you can't verify? By the time they mobilize, he'll have disappeared, and you'll be dead." Perry lowered the phone. "So what do we do?" "I give him the drive." "Like hell you do." "I don't have a choice." "There's always a choice." She shook her head. "Not this time." Perry grabbed her arm. "Emma, listen to me. That drive is the only proof that this goes higher than Hobson. If you give it to Leland, everyone walks. The people who killed your unit, the people who've been profiting from this for years, they all walk." "I know." "So don't give it to him." "And let you die?" "I'm an old man. I've lived my life." "Stop. I'm serious. If it's a choice between me and justice, you pick justice." She pulled her arm away. "I'm not letting you die." "Then we find another way." "There isn't one." Perry's jaw tightened. "Yes, there is. We set a trap." She looked at him. "What are you talking about?" "Leland wants the drive. Fine. We give it to him. But we make sure the FBI is there when we do. He'll see it coming. Not if we're smart." Perry pulled out his phone again. This time he dialed. "I need to talk to the assistant director. Now." 30 minutes later, they were back in the conference room with the FBI assistant director and 3 other agents. "You're telling me Victor Leland is alive," the assistant director said. "And he has someone inside this base ready to kill me," Perry added. The assistant director looked skeptical. "Leland's been off-grid for 10 years, no confirmed sightings, no communications. Most people think he's dead." "He's not," Voss said. "I just talked to him." "Can you prove it?" She pulled out Leland's phone, set it on the table. One of the agents picked it up, examined it. "Burner, untraceable." "Check the photo," Voss said. The agent opened it, saw Perry in the hospital bed. His expression changed. "That was taken tonight," Perry said. "In this building." The assistant director swore. "How the hell did someone get that close?" "Because Leland has people everywhere," Voss said. "That's the point. He's not just running a weapons pipeline. He's running a network inside the government. And the second drive proves it." "Where is it?" "Hidden." "Where?" She didn't answer. The assistant director leaned forward. "Lieutenant, if that drive contains evidence of government corruption at the level you're describing, we need it. Now. And if I give it to you, Leland kills everyone I care about. We can protect you. You can't even protect Perry. He's in a secure military facility, and Leland's still got a photo of him in his hospital bed." The room went silent. Perry spoke. "She's right. Leland's too connected. We need to draw him out." "How?" the assistant director asked. "We tell him she's ready to deal. We set up a meeting. When he shows, you grab him." "That's a terrible plan," one of the agents said. "You have a better one?" Perry shot back. No one did. The assistant director thought for a long moment, then nodded. "Fine, but we do this my way. Controlled environment. Full surveillance. Tactical team on standby." "Agreed," Perry said. The assistant director looked at Voss. "You're okay with this?" She wasn't, but she nodded anyway. Good. Where's the meet? She thought fast. Somewhere public. Somewhere Leland would feel safe. Somewhere the FBI could cover without being obvious. Camden, she said. The hospital. Mercy General. Why there? Because it's neutral ground, and because Leland won't expect it. The assistant director didn't look convinced. When? She checked Leland's phone. 40 minutes left. 2 hours. Midnight. Loading dock. That's not much time. It's what we have. The assistant director nodded. All right, let's move. What's that? They geared up fast. 3 unmarked vans, 12 agents, tactical vests under civilian clothes, earpieces, cameras. Voss rode in the first van with Perry and 2 agents. No one spoke. The drive to Camden took 30 minutes. They parked 2 blocks from the hospital. Agents spread out taking positions on rooftops, in parked cars, inside the hospital itself. Voss walked to the loading dock alone. Perry wanted to come. The FBI said no. Too dangerous. She stood under the flickering light, hands in her pockets, waiting. Midnight came and went. No Leland. She keyed her earpiece. Anything? Negative? An agent responded. No movement. She waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then headlights. A black sedan pulling into the lot. Same car as before. The driver got out, opened the back door. Leland stepped out. Alone. No security. No weapon visible. He walked toward her, hands in his pockets, completely at ease. Lieutenant, he said. Punctual. I appreciate that. She didn't respond. He stopped a few feet away. Do you have it? Do you have Perry? He's alive. For now. That's all you need to know. She pulled out a small USB drive, held it up. Leland's eyes locked onto it. That's it? That's it. How do I know it's real? You don't, but it's the only copy you're getting. He studied her. You're lying. Try me. He reached for the drive. She pulled it back. First, you call off your man. The one in the hospital. I want confirmation Perry's safe. Leland smiled. You don't trust me? Not even a little. He pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke quietly, hung up. Done, he said. Your Admiral is safe. Now give me the drive. She handed it over. He examined it, turned it over in his fingers, then pocketed it. Thank you, Lieutenant. You made the right choice. Did I? You get to live. Your friends get to live. I'd call that a win. And everyone else? Everyone else doesn't matter. He turned to leave. Leland, she said. He stopped. One question. The airstrike in Yemen. That was you? He looked back at her. Yes. Why? Because your unit found something they weren't supposed to find. And dead soldiers don't talk. Except I'm not dead. No, you're not. That was an oversight. But it's corrected now. He walked toward the car. The FBI moved in. Agents appeared from everywhere, rooftops, doorways, vehicles, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Leland stopped. Didn't raise his hands. Just stood there, calm. Victor Leland, the assistant director called out. FBI, you're under arrest. Leland turned, looked at Voss, smiled. Clever, he said, but pointless. Why's that? Because that drive you gave me? It's not the real one. Her stomach dropped. He held it up. This is blank, which means you still have the real drive, which means I still have leverage. He pulled out his phone. Agents rushed him, tackled him to the ground. The phone skittered across the pavement. Voss grabbed it. A text message. Already sent. 2 words. Execute Perry. Her blood turned to ice. She ran. She burst through the hospital entrance, shoving past security, ignoring the shouts. Took the stairs 3 at a time. 4th floor, Perry's room. The door was closed. She kicked it open. A man in scrubs stood next to Perry's bed, syringe in hand, about to inject it into the IV line. Perry was asleep, unaware. Voss didn't think, just moved. She grabbed the man's wrist, twisted hard, and slammed his hand into the bed rail. The syringe dropped. She drove her elbow into his face. He staggered back. She swept his legs. He hit the floor. She was on him in a second, knee on his chest, hands around his throat. "Who sent you?" He didn't answer, just smiled. She squeezed harder. "Who?" His smile widened, then his eyes went vacant. She felt his pulse stop. She pulled back, breathing hard, looked at his mouth. Foam, white, chemical, cyanide capsule. He'd killed himself rather than talk. Perry woke up, groggy. "Emma, what?" "You're okay," she said. "You're okay." Agents poured into the room, checked the body, secured the scene. The assistant director arrived. "What happened?" "Leland's cleanup crew," Voss said. "He sent the order before you arrested him." "Is the Admiral hurt?" "No, but he almost was." The assistant director looked at the body. "We need to sweep the entire facility. If there's one, there could be more." "Do it," Perry said, sitting up. "And someone get me out of this bed. I'm done being a target." They moved Perry to a secure wing, posted guards, locked it down. Voss sat outside his room, hands still shaking. The assistant director sat next to her. "That was close?" "Too close." "Where's the real drive?" She looked at him. "Safe." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one you're getting." He didn't push. "Leland's in custody. We're interrogating him now." "He won't talk." "We'll see." She doubted it. Men like Leland didn't break. They'd been playing this game too long. The assistant director's phone rang. He answered, listened. His face changed. "When?" he said. Then, "Understood." He hung up. "What?" Voss asked. "Leland's dead." Her chest tightened. "How?" "Heart attack, 20 minutes ago, in the back of the transport van." "That's convenient." "That's suspicious." Well, the assistant director stood. "We're running a full autopsy, but my guess? Someone made sure he wouldn't talk." "Someone inside your operation." "That's what I'm afraid of." He left. Voss sat there, mind racing. Leland was dead, which meant whoever he answered to was covering tracks. Fast. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stared at it. Answered. "Lieutenant Voss?" A woman's voice. Unfamiliar. Calm. "Who is this?" "Someone who knows you gave the FBI a blank drive. Someone who knows you still have the real one. And someone who's very interested in making a deal." "Leland already tried that." "I'm not Leland. I'm the person he answered to." Voss felt her chest tighten. "There's someone above Leland?" "There's always someone above. That's how this works." "What do you want?" "The same thing he wanted. The drive. But I'm willing to offer something he wasn't." "What's that?" "The truth. About what happened in Yemen. About who gave the order. About why your unit really died." Voss's throat went dry. "Meet me tomorrow," the woman said. "Alone. And I'll tell you everything." "Why would you do that?" "Because you deserve to know. And because I need you to understand what you're really dealing with." "Where?" "I'll send you the address. Come alone. Tell no one. If I see FBI, the deal's off." "How do I know you won't kill me?" The woman laughed. Soft. Almost kind. "If I wanted you dead, Lieutenant, you'd already be dead. Leland's gone because he was careless. I'm not." The line went dead. Voss sat there, phone in her hand, staring at nothing. She'd just traded one threat for another, and she still didn't know who she could trust. Her phone buzzed again. A text message. An address. Baltimore. Tomorrow. Noon. She read it twice, then deleted it. But the address was already burned into her memory. She stood up, walked to Perry's room. He was awake, reading something on a tablet. "You okay?" he asked. "No?" "Me neither." He set the tablet down. "What's wrong?" She told him about the call, the woman, the offer. Perry's face darkened. "You're not going." "I have to." "It's a trap." "Maybe. But it's also the only way I'm going to get answers." "Emma, I need to know, Admiral. I need to know who gave the order, who killed my team. I've been running from it for 6 years. I'm done running." Perry was quiet for a long moment. "Then I'm coming with you." "No." "Yes. You're a target. You stay here." "So are you." She didn't argue, just looked at him. Perry sighed. You're going anyway, aren't you? Yes. Then at least take backup. Garrett or the FBI. The woman said come alone. And you believe her? I believe she'll disappear if I don't. Perry rubbed his face. This is a bad idea. I know. You could die. I could, but at least I'll die knowing the truth. He looked at her for a long time, then nodded. All right, but you call me every hour, and if I don't hear from you, I'm sending every federal agent in the country to Baltimore. Deal. She left Perry's room and walked to the parking lot, got in her car, sat behind the wheel, hands on the steering wheel, staring at nothing. Tomorrow, she'd get her answers, or she'd die trying. She started the engine and drove out of Fort Dix, didn't go back to her apartment, too exposed. Instead, she drove to a motel off Route 130, paid cash. Room at the end, second floor, fire escape within reach. Old habits. She locked the door, checked the windows, set her phone alarm for 0600. Then she lay down on the bed, fully clothed, and stared at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come. Her mind kept circling back to Yemen. The explosion, the fire, the screaming, and the informant's last words. They're not going to let you walk away. Not with what you know. He'd been right. 6 years later, and they were still coming. She closed her eyes, forced herself to breathe. Tomorrow would bring answers, or it would bring an end. Either way, the running stopped. The alarm went off at 6 a.m. She hadn't slept, just lay there watching the shadows change on the ceiling. She got up, showered, dressed in jeans and a jacket, checked her phone. No messages. She grabbed her keys and left. The drive to Baltimore took 2 hours. She stopped once for coffee and gas. Didn't eat. Her stomach was too tight. The address the woman had sent was in Federal Hill, old row houses converted into offices, quiet street, minimal foot traffic. Voss parked 2 blocks away. Walked the rest. Checked for surveillance. Didn't see any, but that didn't mean it wasn't there. The building was 3 stories, brick, black door, brass number plate. She climbed the steps, tried the door, unlocked. Inside was a narrow hallway, hardwood floors, white walls, a single door at the end. She walked toward it, every instinct screaming at her to turn around. She didn't. She opened the door. The room inside was small, furnished like an office. Desk, 2 chairs, window overlooking the street. A woman sat behind the desk, late 50s. Gray hair pulled back, business suit, reading glasses perched on her nose. She looked up when Voss entered. Lieutenant Voss, thank you for coming. Voss stayed near the door. Who are you? Margaret Keene, Deputy Secretary of Defense, though you won't find that title anywhere public. Voss felt her stomach drop. You're DOD. I'm many things. DOD is just one hat. Keene gestured to the chair. Please, sit. Voss didn't move. You ran the pipeline. I facilitated it. There's a difference. Not to the soldiers who died because of it. Keene's expression didn't change. War is complicated, Lieutenant. Sometimes people die so that others can live. Sometimes we make deals with devils because the alternative is worse. That's bullshit. That's reality. Keene folded her hands on the desk. You wanted answers. I'm here to give them to you. But first, I need to know something. Where's the second drive? Safe. That's not specific enough. It's all you're getting until I hear what you have to say. Keene studied her, then nodded. Fair enough. What do you want to know? Who ordered the strike in Yemen? I did. The words hit like a punch. Voss felt her hands clench into fists. Why? Because your unit was about to expose an operation that's been running for 20 years. An operation that's kept this country safe. That's prevented wars, that's saved thousands of lives. By arming terrorists, by creating leverage. We don't arm just anyone, Lieutenant. We arm specific groups, groups we can control, groups that serve our strategic interests, and when they stop being useful, we eliminate them. That's insane. That's statecraft. Keene leaned back. Your unit stumbled onto something they weren't supposed to see. The informant you extracted had proof, names, transactions, classified operations. If that information had gone public, it would have destroyed everything we'd built. So you killed 12 people to cover it up. I made a hard choice. One I'd make again. Voss took a step forward. You murdered my team. I protected national security. You're a monster. Keen didn't flinch. I'm a patriot, and so were you once, before you decided that your conscience mattered more than your orders. My orders were to save lives, not help you kill innocent people. No one's innocent in war, Lieutenant. You know that better than anyone. Voss felt her throat tighten. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to understand what's at stake. The second drive doesn't just implicate me. It implicates senators, generals, cabinet members, people who've been running this operation for decades. If that drive goes public, it doesn't just destroy careers, it destroys the entire system. Good. You don't mean that. Try me. Keen stood, walked to the window, looked out at the street. Let me tell you what happens if you release that drive, she said. Trials, investigations, congressional hearings. The media turns it into a circus. Allies lose faith in us. Enemies see weakness. And while everyone's busy tearing each other apart, the real threats, the ones we've been keeping at bay, move in. That's not my problem. It will be, because the chaos that follows will make the last 20 years look like a garden party. Keen turned back to her. I'm offering you a deal. Give me the drive. Walk away. Live your life. No one comes after you. No one touches the people you care about. You get to be Emma Voss again, or Sarah Hallis, or whoever you want to be. And you get to keep killing people. I get to keep doing my job. Voss shook her head. I'm not giving you anything. Keen sighed. I was hoping you'd say that. She pressed a button on her desk. The door behind Voss opened. Two men stepped in. Military. Armed. Voss's hand went to her waist. No weapon. She'd left it in the car. Stupid. Keen looked at her. I'm sorry, Lieutenant, but I can't let you leave here with that drive. I don't have it with me. I know, but you'll tell us where it is. Eventually. The men moved toward her. Voss backed toward the window. Calculated the distance. 3 stories. Too high. One of the men grabbed her arm. She drove her elbow into his face. Heard cartilage crunch. He stumbled back. The second man pulled his weapon. She lunged for it. Got her hand on the barrel. Twisted. The gun went off. The round punched through the ceiling. She drove her knee into his groin. He doubled over. She ripped the gun from his hands and turned toward Keen. Keen hadn't moved, just stood there, watching. You won't shoot me, she said. Try me. If you kill me, you'll never get what you want, and you'll spend the rest of your life running from people far more dangerous than Leland ever was. Voss kept the gun raised. I'll take my chances. Will you? Keen pulled out her phone, showed Voss the screen, a live video feed. Perry, in his hospital room, asleep. A figure standing over him, face obscured. One call, Keen said, and he dies. Voss's hand shook. Put the gun down, Lieutenant. She didn't. I'm not bluffing. I have people everywhere. Fort Dix, Mercy General, even the FBI. You can't protect everyone. Voss stared at the screen, at Perry, defenseless. Put the gun down. She lowered it. Keen nodded, pressed a button on her phone. The figure on the screen stepped away from Perry's bed, left the room. Good, Keen said. Now, let's try this again. Where's the drive? Voss didn't answer. One of the men, the one she'd elbowed, grabbed her from behind, twisted her arm. She gasped. Where is it? Keen asked again. Go to hell. The man twisted harder. She felt something pop in her shoulder. Pain shot down her arm. I can do this all day, Keen said. Or you can save us both some time and just tell me. Voss gritted her teeth. It's in a storage unit, Philadelphia, off I-95. Which one? Loctite, Unit 247. Keen pulled out her phone, made a call. Check it, now. She waited. 30 seconds. A minute. The phone buzzed. She answered, listened. Her face hardened. It's not there, she said. Voss smiled through the pain. I lied. Keen stepped forward, slapped her across the face, hard. Tell me where it is. Make me. Keen raised her hand again, then stopped, froze. A red dot appeared on her chest. Sniper laser. Keen looked down at it, then at the window. The glass exploded. The shot caught Keen in the shoulder. She spun and went down. The men released Voss and dove for cover. She hit the floor, crawled toward the desk. More shots. The windows shattered, glass everywhere. One of the men took a round to the leg, went down screaming. The second man returned fire blindly. Voss grabbed Keen's phone, shoved it in her pocket, then crawled toward the door, made it into the hallway. Behind her, more gunfire, shouting, chaos. She ran, down the stairs, out the front door, into the street. A black SUV screeched to a stop in front of her. The passenger door opened. "Get in!" Garrett shouted from the driver's seat. She didn't hesitate, jumped in. He floored it. Behind them, the building erupted in flames. Voss looked back, smoke pouring from the windows, fire spreading fast. "What the hell was that?" she asked. "FBI Tactical. They've been following you since you left Fort Dix." "Perry called them?" "Perry called me. I called them." Garrett glanced at her. "You're welcome, by the way." She didn't respond, just stared at Keen's phone in her hand. "What's that?" Garrett asked. "Leverage." She opened the phone, scrolled through, contacts, messages, emails, everything, names, dates, transactions, proof. "We need to get this to the FBI," she said. "Already on it. They're sending a team to extract Keen from the building." "She's not going to talk." "She doesn't have to. That phone does." Voss looked at it, then at Garrett. "How did you know where I was?" He smiled. "You're not the only one who can hide things, Lieutenant." He tapped his ear. "I put a tracker in your jacket last night while you were with Perry." She wanted to be angry, but she couldn't. "Thank you," she said. "Don't mention it." They drove back to Fort Dix in silence. When they arrived, the FBI was waiting. The assistant director took the phone, looked through it. His face went pale. "This is everything," he said. "It's enough," Voss said. "It's more than enough. Keen, her network, all of it." "What happens now?" "Now we burn it all down." Tirsad. The arrest started within hours. Senator Drexler. Taken into custody at his office. General Hammond. Arrested during a Pentagon briefing. 2 more cabinet members, pulled from their homes in the middle of the night. And Margaret Keen. Recovered from the building, critical condition, under armed guard. The news broke the next morning. Biggest corruption scandal in U.S. history. Voss watched it on TV from Perry's hospital room. He sat next to her, silent. "You did it," he said finally. "We did it. No, this was you. All of it." She didn't respond. Perry looked at her. "What are you going to do now?" "I don't know." "You could go back to nursing. Maybe. Or you could stay. Help rebuild. Make sure this never happens again." She shook her head. "I'm done, Admiral. I've been fighting for 6 years. I'm tired." "I understand." They sat in silence. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stared at it. Answered. "Lieutenant Voss?" A man's voice. Not the woman. Not Leland. Someone new. "Who is this?" "A friend. Someone who wants to thank you." "For what?" "For doing what needed to be done. Keen and her people have been a problem for a long time. You solved that problem." "I'm not interested in your thanks." "I'm not offering thanks. I'm offering a job." "Not interested. You don't even know what it is." "Don't need to." The man laughed. "You're exactly what we need, Lieutenant. Someone who can't be bought, can't be compromised, someone who actually believes in doing the right thing. Find someone else." "There is no one else. You're one of a kind." She hung up, turned off the phone. Perry looked at her. "What was that?" "Someone recruiting." "For what?" "I don't know, and I don't care." She stood, walked to the window, looked out at the base, at the soldiers moving below, at the world that had tried to kill her and failed. She'd survived. Her team hadn't. But maybe, just maybe, their deaths meant something now. The second drive was still hidden, still safe, insurance, in case anyone ever came looking again. But for now, it was over. She was Emma Voss again, and she was finally, truly free. She turned back to Perry. "I'm leaving," she said. "Where will you go?" "I don't know yet. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere no one knows my name." "Will I see you again?" "Maybe. If you're lucky." He smiled. "Take care of yourself, Lieutenant." "You too, Admiral." She walked out and didn't look back. 3 days later, Voss sat in a diner in western Pennsylvania. Small town, population 2,000. No one knew her here. She ordered coffee, eggs, toast. The TV above the counter showed the news. More arrests. More revelations. The scandal was growing. A woman slid into the booth across from her. Voss looked up. The woman from the phone. Margaret Keene. Except she wasn't in a hospital, wasn't under guard. She was here. Voss's hand went to her pocket. Empty. No weapon. Keene smiled. Relax, Lieutenant. I'm not here to hurt you. How are you here? You were arrested. I was. But people like me don't stay arrested. We have too many friends. Voss felt her chest tighten. What do you want? The second drive, the real one. I don't have it. Yes, you do, and you're going to give it to me. Why would I do that? Keene leaned forward. Because if you don't, everything you've accomplished means nothing. The people you put in prison will walk. The investigations will stall, and in 6 months, it'll be like none of this ever happened. You're bluffing. I never bluff. She slid a folder across the table. Voss opened it. Photos, documents, proof. Senators being released on technicalities. Charges dropped. Cases dismissed. The system protects its own, Keene said. You should know that by now. Voss closed the folder. What do you want from me? The drive. In exchange, I make sure the convictions stick. I make sure justice actually happens. Why would you do that? Because I'm done. I'm old, I'm tired, and I want to make sure the next generation doesn't make the same mistakes I did. Keene stood. Think about it, Lieutenant. You have 24 hours. She walked out. Voss sat there, staring at the folder. The second drive. She'd hidden it in the one place no one would look. Inside her own body, a subcutaneous implant, surgically placed 6 years ago, just above her left hip. No one knew. Not Perry, not Garrett, not the FBI. Just her. And now Keene wanted it. She looked at her reflection in the diner window, saw a woman who'd lost everything, who'd fought for 6 years, who'd finally won. Or had she? Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She didn't answer, but the message came through anyway. 7 words. The choice is yours, Lieutenant Voss. She stared at it, then deleted it, and walked out of the diner into the cold morning air. The war wasn't over. It had just begun. The war wasn't over. It had just begun. Voss walked 3 blocks before she stopped. Stood on a street corner in a town where nobody knew her name. Cold wind cutting through her jacket. Cars passing by. People living normal lives. Unaware that the woman standing there had spent 6 years dead and the last 72 hours destroying a conspiracy that reached the highest levels of government. She pulled out her phone. Stared at the deleted message. Keene was right about one thing. The system protected its own. Always had. Always would. But Voss had something the system didn't count on. She had the truth, and she had nothing left to lose. She dialed. Perry answered on the second ring. Emma? I need your help. Where are you? Pennsylvania. Small town. Doesn't matter. What's wrong? Keene's out. She found me. Silence on the other end, then... That's impossible. She's under federal custody. She was sitting across from me 20 minutes ago, in a diner, free as anyone. Perry swore. How? She has people everywhere, you know that. Voss kept walking, scanning faces, looking for anyone paying too much attention. She wants the second drive. Says if I don't give it to her, everyone we arrested walks. She's bluffing. She showed me proof, photos, documents, cases being dismissed, charges dropped. Another pause, longer this time. What do you need? Perry asked. A surgeon, someone you trust, someone off the books. Why? Because the drive isn't in a storage unit, it's inside me. Perry didn't respond immediately. When he did, his voice was different, careful. You implanted it. 6 years ago, right after Yemen. It's subcutaneous, above my left hip. No one knows. Not the FBI, not Garrett, just me. And now Keene. She doesn't know where it is, just that I have it. Emma, if you remove that drive and hand it over, I'm not handing it over. I'm going public with it. Every name, every transaction, every dirty deal, all of it. That'll start a war. Good. Maybe it's time. Perry exhaled slowly. Where are you exactly? She told him. Small town, western Pennsylvania. Diner called Rosie's. Stay there. I'm sending someone. Give me 2 hours. I might not have 2 hours. Then make them. And Emma? Yeah? Don't do anything stupid. She almost laughed. Little late for that. She hung up, walked back to the diner, ordered more coffee, sat in the same booth, watching the door. 90 minutes passed. A man walked in, late 40s, civilian clothes, but the way he moved, controlled, aware, said military. He sat down across from her. Lieutenant Voss, I'm Dr. Marcus Hale. Admiral Perry sent me. You're a surgeon? Was. Navy, retired 3 years ago. Now I work private. Can you remove an implant? Depends on the implant. She described it. Size, location, material. Hale nodded. I can do it, but not here. I need proper equipment. Sterile environment. How long? 30 minutes. Maybe less if you don't care about scarring. I don't. Then we leave now. I have a clinic 20 miles north. We go there. I pull it out. You're on your way. She studied him. Perry trusts you? Saved his life twice, Afghanistan. He trusts me. Good enough. They left. Haley drove a nondescript sedan. Didn't talk much. Put on classical music. Mozart. Voss stared out the window, watching trees blur past. You know what you're doing? Hale asked after a while. No idea. Perry said you're about to blow up half of Washington. That's the plan. You sure that's smart? Smart's got nothing to do with it. Hale smiled faintly. Fair enough. They arrived at a small medical clinic, rural, off the main road, sign out front, Hale Family Practice. Inside was clean, organized, exam rooms, surgical suite in the back. Hale led her there, gestured to the table. Lie down, left side up. She did. He prepped the area. Local anesthetic, scalpel, forceps. Worked quickly, efficiently. This is going to hurt, he said. I've had worse. He made the incision. She felt pressure, then sharp pain. Gritted her teeth. Hale worked in silence. 2 minutes, 3. Then he held up the implant. Small, black, coated in blood. That's it? That's it. He cleaned it, sealed it in a sterile bag, handed it to her. Then he stitched her up, applied a dressing. Keep it clean. Change the bandage daily. You'll be sore for a week. Thanks. Don't thank me. Just don't get killed before this matters. She stood, pocketed the drive, walked out, got in her car, drove, pump. She didn't go back to Fort Dix, didn't call Perry. Not yet. First, she needed to make copies, lots of them. She drove to Philadelphia, found a tech shop, paid cash for 3 blank drives, went to a library, used a public computer, copied the files onto all 3 drives, checked the contents, names, senators, generals, cabinet officials, financial transactions, offshore accounts, encrypted communications. Everything Keene had said was there, and more. Weapons shipments to hostile groups, drone strikes authorized on civilian targets, black site prisons, torture programs, 20 years of classified operations that never should have happened. This wasn't just corruption. This was crimes against humanity. She finished copying, packed the drives, left the library. Her phone rang. Garrett. Where are you? He asked. Philadelphia. Perry's looking for you. I know. He said you have the drive. I do. The FBI wants it. I'm sure they do. Emma, you need to bring it in. Let them handle it. The FBI can't handle this. No one can. The moment I hand it over, it disappears, gets classified, buried, and everyone walks. That's not... It is. You know it is. Garrett was quiet. What are you going to do? Go public. Send copies to every major news outlet. Post it online. Make it impossible to bury. That's dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. Then let me help. She hesitated. How? Meet me. Bring the drive. We'll figure it out together. Where? Independence Hall, Philadelphia. 1 hour. She thought about it. Garrett had saved her life. multiple times, but Keene had people everywhere. Come alone, she said. I will. She hung up, drove to Independence Hall, parked 2 blocks away, walked the rest, watched for tails, didn't see any. Garrett was waiting on the steps, alone. No suit, no earpiece, just jeans and a jacket. She approached slowly. You okay? He asked. Been better. Let me see it. She pulled out one of the drives, held it up. Garrett stared at it. That's really it? Everything? Everything. He exhaled. What's your play? I told you, go public. And then what? You think you'll be safe? The people on that drive won't just roll over. I don't care about safe anymore. You should, because once this goes out, you're a target for the rest of your life. I've been a target for 6 years. At least now it'll mean something. Garrett shook his head. There's another way. What way? You give the drive to me. I take it to DOD Inspector General. We build cases, proper cases, legal, airtight, no leaks, no media circus, just justice. That'll take years. Maybe, but it'll stick, and you'll stay alive. She looked at him. You really believe that? I do. Then you're naive. His jaw tightened. I'm trying to help you. I know. But I'm not looking for help. I'm looking for justice. This isn't justice. It's revenge. Maybe it's both. She turned to walk away. Emma, wait. She stopped. Garrett stepped closer. I know what you've been through. I know what you've lost. But if you do this, you're throwing your life away, everything you've fought for. I've already thrown it away. I died 6 years ago, remember? Then don't die again. She met his eyes, saw genuine concern, maybe even fear. I'm sorry, she said, but this is the only way I know how to finish this. She walked away. Garrett didn't follow. Tuts. She went to a coffee shop, used their Wi-Fi, created a secure email account, attached the files to messages addressed to the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, Reuters, AP, and a dozen independent journalists she'd researched. Subject line, the pipeline files, proof of government-sanctioned war crimes. Body, my name is Lieutenant Emma Voss. I was declared KYA 6 years ago after discovering evidence of a weapons pipeline run by U.S. officials. Attached are files proving systemic corruption, illegal arms sales, and crimes against humanity committed at the highest levels of government. Verify the contents. Publish everything. The truth matters. Her finger hovered over send. 1 click. And everything changed. No going back. No second chances. She thought about her unit. 12 operators. All dead because they'd seen too much. She thought about the informant, bleeding out in the sand, pressing the drives into her hand. Don't let them bury this. She clicked send. The messages went out. She closed the laptop, walked outside, took a breath. It was done. Her phone rang immediately. Perry. What did you just do? He asked. What I had to. Emma, the files just hit every major news outlet simultaneously. The FBI is going insane. DOD is in full crisis mode. Do you understand what you've started? Yeah, I do. They're going to come after you. Let them. I'm serious. This isn't over. It's just beginning. Good. Maybe this time it'll actually end. Perry was silent for a moment. Where are you? Philadelphia, for now. Stay there. I'm coming to you. Don't. You've done enough. Emma? She hung up, walked. Didn't know where she was going, just walked. Her phone buzzed. Notifications, hundreds of them. News alerts, social media. The story was breaking. Everywhere, all at once. Bombshell. Classified files expose decades of government corruption. Former military operative reveals weapons pipeline. DOD officials arrested following leaked documents. It was working. Her phone rang again. Unknown number. She answered. You just made a very big mistake, Lieutenant. Keene's voice. Cold. Controlled. Did I? You think releasing those files protects you? It doesn't. It just makes you a target for everyone on that list. I'll take my chances. You won't survive the week. Maybe not, but at least I'll die knowing I did the right thing. There is no right thing. There's just power, and you just gave yours away. I never wanted power. I wanted justice. Justice is a fairy tale. You should know that by now. Maybe. But at least I'm not the monster in it. Keen laughed, bitter. You think you're the hero? You're not. You're just another casualty. We'll see. Voss hung up, kept walking. Partit. The arrest started within hours. Senator Drexler, dragged out of his office in handcuffs, cameras everywhere. General Hammond, perp walked through the Pentagon, reporters shouting questions. Margaret Keene, taken into custody for the second time. No bail. Maximum security. The story dominated every news cycle. Congressional hearings announced. Special prosecutors appointed. International investigations launched. The system was burning, and for the first time in 6 years, Voss felt like she could breathe. She checked into a hotel under a fake name, paid cash. 6th floor, fire escape access, old habits, sat on the bed, watched the news. Her phone rang. Perry. You watching this? He asked. Yeah. It's working. They can't bury it now. Too public. Too many eyes. Good. The FBI wants to bring you in. Protective custody. They're worried about retaliation. I'm not going into custody. Emma. I'm done hiding, Admiral. I've been hiding for 6 years. If someone wants me dead, they know where to find me. That's not smart. Since when have I been smart? Perry sighed. At least let me send Garrett. He can... No. I'm fine. I just need time. Time for what? To figure out what comes next. Perry was quiet. You did the right thing. You know that, right? I hope so. You did. Your unit would be proud. Her throat tightened. They're dead because of me. They're dead because of Keene and Leland and everyone else on that list. Not you. I survived when they didn't. That's not a crime, Emma. That's life. And you honored them by finishing what they started. She didn't respond. Couldn't. Get some rest, Perry said. We'll figure out the next steps tomorrow. He hung up. Voss sat in the dark, thought about her unit, about Yemen, about the last 6 years. She'd been running for so long she'd forgotten what it felt like to stop. Now she was stopped, and she didn't know what to do with it. Her phone buzzed. Text message. Unknown number. Coffee? Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Same diner. I promise not to threaten you this time. Garrett. She almost smiled. Typed back. Fine, but you're buying. She met Garrett at the diner the next morning. He was already there, sitting in the same booth, 2 coffees on the table. She slid in across from him. You look terrible, he said. Thanks. I mean it. When's the last time you slept? I don't remember. He pushed one of the coffees toward her. Drink. She did. It was good, strong, hot. So, Garrett said, you're a national hero now. I'm a whistleblower. There's a difference. Not to most people. You exposed a conspiracy, brought down corrupt officials, saved lives. I got 12 people killed. No, you survived, and you made sure their deaths meant something. She looked at him. You really believe that? I do, and so does Perry, and so does everyone who's paying attention. She didn't respond. Garrett leaned forward. What are you going to do now? I don't know. You could go back to nursing. Maybe. Or you could stay. Help clean up the mess. Make sure this doesn't happen again. I'm tired, Garrett. I've been fighting for 6 years. I'm done. Are you? She met his eyes. What's that supposed to mean? It means you're not the kind of person who walks away. You never have been. Maybe I've changed. Have you? She didn't answer. Garrett smiled. That's what I thought. He pulled out a folder, set it on the table. What's that? She asked. Job offer, Department of Defense, oversight position, independent, autonomous. Your job would be to make sure what happened with the pipeline never happens again. I'm not interested. Read it first. She opened the folder, skimmed the pages. It was real. Official, signed by the Secretary of Defense. This is insane, she said. This is necessary. The system's broken. You proved that. Now help fix it. I'm not a politician. Good. We have enough of those. We need someone who can't be bought. Someone who actually cares about doing the right thing. She closed the folder. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking. They finished their coffee in silence. 2 weeks later, Voss stood in front of a Senate committee. Cameras everywhere, reporters packed into every available seat. She'd been subpoenaed to testify about the pipeline, about Yemen, about everything. She wore her Navy dress uniform. First time in 6 years. It felt strange. Heavy. The committee chair, a senator she recognized from the files, called her to the stand. She sat, raised her right hand, swore to tell the truth. Then she told them everything. The informant, the drives, the airstrike, the 6 years of hiding, the decision to go public. She didn't hold back, didn't soften it, just laid it all out. When she finished, the room was silent. Then the questions started. Why didn't you come forward sooner? Because I would have been killed. How do you know that? Because my entire unit was killed when they tried. Do you have proof? I just gave you 20 years of proof. Read the files. What do you want from this committee? She looked at them, at their faces. Some genuinely concerned, others calculating political angles. I want accountability, she said. I want the people responsible to face consequences, real consequences, not backroom deals, not slaps on the wrist, prison, loss of rank, public disgrace, everything. And what about you, Lieutenant? You faked your death, lived under a false identity, violated numerous federal laws. I did. And I'd do it again because staying alive meant the truth survived, and the truth matters more than the law. The senator's expression hardened. That's a dangerous philosophy. So is murdering 12 soldiers to cover up war crimes. The room erupted, reporters shouting, cameras flashing, the chair banged his gavel. Order! It took 5 minutes to settle. When they reconvened, the questions continued. But Voss had made her point. She wasn't apologizing, wasn't backing down. She'd done what she had to do, and she'd do it again. The hearings lasted 3 days. By the end, 17 more officials had been arrested. Congressional investigations launched. International courts filing charges. The pipeline was dismantled, completely. Voss walked out of the Capitol building on the third day and found Perry waiting. You did good in there, he said. I told the truth. Same thing. They walked. No destination, just walked. Have you thought about Garrett's offer? Perry asked. Yeah. And? I'm taking it. Perry stopped, looked at her. Really? Really? Why? Because you were right. I'm not the kind of person who walks away. Never have been. Perry smiled. Your unit would be proud. I hope so. They kept walking. Waltz. 6 months later. Voss stood in an office in the Pentagon. Small, modest, but hers. A plaque on the door. Lieutenant Emma Voss, Director of Defense Accountability and Oversight. She'd spent the last 6 months rebuilding, creating systems, implementing safeguards, making sure what happened with the pipeline could never happen again. It was exhausting, frustrating, bureaucratic. But it mattered. Her phone rang. Garrett. You busy? He asked. Always. Good. I need you to look at something. Possible irregularities in a procurement contract. Could be nothing. Could be another pipeline. Send it over. Already did. She hung up, opened the file, started reading. This was her life now, hunting ghosts, exposing corruption, making sure the system worked the way it was supposed to. It wasn't glamorous, wasn't exciting, but it was right. And that was enough. She looked at the photo on her desk. Her unit, Task Force Sentinel, 12 faces, all gone. We finished it, she said quietly. Not the way we planned, but we finished it. Her office door opened. Perry stepped in. You got a minute? He asked. For you? Always. He sat down, looked tired but content. I'm retiring, he said. She blinked. When? End of the month. 35 years is enough. What will you do? I don't know. Maybe write a book. Maybe just fish. Haven't decided yet. She smiled. You've earned it. So have you. I'm just getting started. Perry nodded. I know. That's why I wanted to talk to you. I'm recommending you for promotion. Captain, you've earned it. I'm not. You are. And more importantly, people need to see that doing the right thing gets rewarded, not just punished. She didn't know what to say. You change things, Emma. Really change them. Don't underestimate that. I just did what needed to be done. That's what makes you different. Most people see what needs to be done and look away. You didn't. He stood, extended his hand. She shook it. Take care of yourself, Captain. You too, Admiral. He left. Voss sat alone in her office, looked at the photo, at her unit. She'd been a ghost for 6 years, hiding, running, surviving. Now she was alive again, really alive, and she had work to do. She opened Garrett's file, started reading. The fight wasn't over. It never would be, but this time she wasn't running. This time she was ready. 3 years later, Voss stood at Arlington National Cemetery, Section 60, where they buried the recent fallen. A new memorial had been dedicated that morning. Black granite, 12 names engraved, Task Force Sentinel, officially recognized, officially honored. It had taken 3 years of fighting, 3 years of hearings and appeals and bureaucratic battles, but it was done. Her team was no longer ghosts, they were heroes. Perry stood next to her, older now, grayer, but still strong. They'd be proud, he said. I hope so. They would. You honored them. You finished what they started. She nodded, couldn't speak. Other people came, families, friends, colleagues. They laid flowers, saluted, paid respects. Voss stayed until everyone left. Then she knelt, touched the stone. We did it, she whispered. We actually did it. The wind picked up, leaves rustling, birds singing. She stood, saluted, held it for 10 seconds, then walked away. That night, she sat in her apartment, small, comfortable, not hiding anymore. Her phone rang, unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but she did. Lieutenant Voss? A young woman's voice, nervous. It's Captain now. Who's this? My name is Rachel Simmons. I'm a nurse at Walter Reed. I think I found something wrong, and I don't know who to trust. Voss sat up. What kind of something? Medical supplies, going missing, shipments that don't match records. I think someone's stealing them, selling them. Have you reported it? I tried, but my supervisor shut me down, said I was seeing things, said I should drop it. And you didn't. No, because people are getting hurt. Soldiers aren't getting the supplies they need, and I can't just ignore it. Voss smiled. No, you can't. Can you help me? Yes, but first I need you to do something. What? Document everything, every discrepancy, every missing shipment, every conversation where someone told you to drop it. Get it all in writing. Okay, then what? Then you send it to me, and I'll make sure it doesn't get buried. Thank you, Rachel said, her voice breaking. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly. I don't care, it's the right thing to do. Yeah, it is. Voss hung up, sat in the silence, thought about Rachel, about herself 6 years ago, about every person who saw something wrong and had to decide whether to speak up or stay silent. It wasn't easy. It never was. But it mattered. She opened her laptop, started a new file. The work continued. It always would, because the world was full of people like Keene, like Leland, like Stokes, people who saw war as profit, who saw soldiers as expendable. But it was also full of people like Rachel, like Perry, like Garrett, people who gave a damn. And as long as they kept fighting, there was hope. Voss looked at the photo on her desk. Her unit. 12 faces. This one's for you, she said. Then she got to work. 6 years ago, she'd been declared dead, erased, forgotten. Now she was alive, really alive, not hiding, not running, fighting. And she wasn't going to stop, because some things were worth fighting for. Justice, truth, accountability. The people who couldn't fight for themselves. The soldiers who trusted the system to protect them. The whistleblowers who risked everything to do the right thing. She'd been one of them once. Now she made sure they didn't have to fight alone. Her phone buzzed. Message from Garrett. Got another one for you? Senator's nephew. Fraudulent contracts. Big money. You free? She typed back, always, grabbed her jacket, and walked out into the night, ready, because the war wasn't over. It never would be. But she wasn't fighting it alone anymore, and that made all the difference.